Williams-Kieley-Finn family reunion. This reunion has been organised in conjunction with Gus Kieley's family tree. Our presentation is a still pictorial review of each family, followed by a video of their reunion taking place July 30th to August 5th, 2000 in Petty Harbour, Goulds and Kilbride. The earliest research and pictures available is of the Kieley family in Petty Harbour. Pictured here, Lawrence Kieley was born in 1830. The picture was taken on tin plate in approximately 1890. For some of us at this family reunion, he would be our great-great-grandfather. And his son, pictured here, is John Anthony Kieley, a fisherman in Petty Harbour all his life. The picture was taken in approximately 1900, looking up Cribbies towards the old graveyard in Petty Harbour. On the Williams side of the family, one of the earliest pictures we have is of Mike Williams. Pictured here with his horse, Mike was a farmer most of his working life and lived at the foot of Forest Pond on the Petty Harbour Road. This picture would be taken in the 1920s. And his wife Margaret Murphy, who passed away in 1915, aged 44 after a short illness, is pictured here in approximately 1900. No one is sure of the circumstances of this picture, but obviously it was done by a professional. Margaret was the daughter of Peter Murphy and Mary, also known as Kate McNamara of Kilbride. And the last of the older generation is pictured here. Sarah Ann Chait, the wife of John Anthony Kieley, is seen here in front of the homestead in Petty Harbour in the late 1930s. Sarah, seen here in her 70s, died in 1942. Sarah was Uncle Jack's mother. Lawrence Kieley left Newfoundland for a new life in 1910 and settled in Boston. Lawrence, the eldest son of John Anthony Kieley, became, among other things, a successful insurance broker in Boston. The next pictures show him and his family in Boston. Seen here is wife Mary Ryan from St. John's. Lawrence and Mary met in church in Boston and married in 1914. This picture would have been taken around 1900 and probably in Boston. Pictured here is the family, including Ma and Pa, taken at a wedding in 1953. In the back, we have Ben, John, Harry, Mr. Eddie, Larry, and Joe. And in the front, we have Lily, Mrs., and Isabel. Their family grows as they celebrate Christmas, gathering in the Kieley home in Somerville, a suburb of Boston where the Kieleys lived most of their life. Lawrence is pictured here, counting around on a bicycle, entertaining the family on one of their many outings. But there was a serious side to Lawrence, as seen here in one of his many business ventures. This is him in his tobacco store in Somerville. This is a picture of the first generation of the Kieleys born and raised in the United States. All the sons and daughters are pictured here with Ma and Pa on either side of the front row. And here are the same group some years later. This picture would have been taken in the later 40s. Lawrence and Mary are pictured here at their 35th wedding anniversary in 1949. Lawrence died in 1954 at the age of 67, and Mary in 1976 at 88. Now let's look at the family of John Joseph Kieley, the youngest son of John Anthony. Also known as Uncle Jack and Cooper Jack, he is pictured here in the late 1920s while at one of the many picnic outings to which he and his beau, Bessie, were known to attend. And his sweetheart, Bessie Williams, Aunt Bessie, seen here in the 1920s in front of the Williams homestead in the Goulds. Bessie always loved flowers and was probably the one who created and cared for the garden seen in the background. Seen here in the early 1940s are the Kieleys in front of their house in Petty Harbour. Here we have Joey, Jan, Michael and Bernice. A dear sister of the Kieley family, Mary, lived just a short 11 months. She was born and died in 1937. May God rest her soul. One of the favourite pastimes of the Kieleys in Petty Harbour was sing-alongs with the whole family. Pictured here are Bernice, a neighbour Lorraine Lee, Mary, Lar, Patsy and Jan. In front are Jimmy, a friend, and Gussie. The Kieleys spent all their time frolicking in the hill of Petty Harbour. Seen here are Lar and Mary in the back, and Patsy, Gussie, and Jimmy and Bernice in front. In later years, Uncle Jack and Aunt Bessie were frequently entertained by their children. Seen here at Jimmy's in the late 1970s, celebrating one of Aunt Bessie's birthdays. Aunt Bessie and Uncle Jack are pictured here in their living room in Petty Harbour in the early 1960s. Jack and Bessie are pictured here in the 1970s. Jack died in 1979 at the age of 78, and Bessie in 1981 at the same age. Walter Joseph Williams was the eldest son of Mike Williams and Margaret Murphy from the Goulds. The family lived on Petty Harbour Road near Forest Pond. Known to us all as Uncle Walty, he also farmed in the tradition of his father. In 1925, Walter married Frances Howlett. Frances Joseph Howlett was born at the turn of the century. She was raised in the Goulds and is pictured here at about 50 years of age. She ran the shop while Walter and the family worked the farm. Pictured here in 1992 are 7 of the Walter Williams family. In the back, we have Leonard, Eddie, Perry, and Max. And in front is Mavis, Richard, and Millie. Marjorie is seen here in about 1930 as a wee tot with her brother Leonard in the carriage. The picture was taken while the family lived on Lundrigan's Road in Kilbride. Marjorie, seen here in about 1950, died in 1952 at the age of 27. Pictured here is the horse and buggy used to deliver vegetables and fresh meat up the southern shore. Sitting in the carriage is Eddie and Richard as they head off up the shore in 1943. This was a weekly chore for the older boys. And here we have Mavis, Millie, and Max standing in what was acres of cabbage on the farm in the Goulds. Walter and his family in the early 30s moved to the Goulds to start a new farm. On the farm, a lot of hard work had to be done by Walter and the children. Here, the youngest son, Max, is helping out with some of the farm chores. Perry left to join the military in 1958. As a military man, he lived in many places. He left the military in 1979 and settled in Guelph, Ontario, where he now lives. Pictured here are Uncle Walty and Aunt Fanny celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary in 1975 with family and friends. Uncle Walty and Aunt Fanny lived most of their lives in the Goulds. They are pictured here in St. Patrick's Mercy Home, where they spent their last years together. Uncle Malty passed away in 1989 at the age of 88, and Aunt Fanny in 1992 at the age of 91. Peter was the fourth child of Michael and Margaret Williams. He was 8 years old when his mother died. He worked at a variety of jobs, which included chauffeuring, mining, and settled eventually at his first love, which was farming. Peter married Betty Hearn, who was the daughter of Patrick Hearn and Esther Raymond of the Goulds. Beth, like most wives of her time, worked very hard beside Peter to provide the very best she could for the family. Shown here are 8 of their 10 children. This picture was taken at Doris's daughter's wedding in 1999. Their oldest son, Gus, was killed in a traffic accident in 1967 at age 36. The youngest daughter, Paula, lives in Labrador City. Shown from left to right are the oldest to the youngest. Though their lives were very busy with raising their family, Beth and Peter loved to take some time away and tour the island. Shown here is Beth and Peter on such a leisurely excursion. Peter, like most farmers starting off in his day, needed a good horse for working the farm. Shown here is Peter with his horse King, which he had raised from a foal. They had many years of hard work and productive farming to their credit. Betty loves to gather the clan and felt that they should all get together. This picture was taken at her house on such an occasion in 1999. Winnie's daughter, Paulette, worked very hard to get as many of the 40 grandchildren as she could in one place for a picture with Nanny. Not to be outdone, most of their 55 great-grandchildren gather around their much-beloved Cookie Nanny to get her picture taken too. Peter and Beth shared 36 years of marriage. They stood together and worked together and did the best they could. Peter died in 1964 at the age of 57 years old. Beth died April 10, 2000, almost 94 years old. James Williams was born in 1908. Jim met Stella Gorman at a train station in St. John's. He, on his way to Buckins, she, escorting a patient from the Waterford Hospital where she worked. Stella was the third daughter of Edward and Bridget Gorman of Kilbride. Stella Gorman, born in 1908, is seen here as a young woman. She and Uncle Jim married in 1935. Jim and Stella had 6 children. Jerry, a baby, when the family moved to Buckins, was born May 26, 1936. Pat, Marie, Bride and Mark, who were the twins, and Walter were all born in Buckins. After 5 years of working in the mines, they moved to Kilbride, where Jim and Stella and the children edged out a living working on a small mixed farm off Lundgren's Road in Kilbride. Here's Uncle Jim's family at the farm in Kilbride, taken about 1946. The children are seen with Aunt Stella. Jim and Stella in front of their home in Buckins in 1930 with Jerry, Pat, and Marie. Five of Jim's family are still living. Jerry, inset in the bottom right, the oldest son, passed away on June 28, 1977, leaving his wife Marg and 5 young children. Pat and Walter now live in Ottawa. Marie lives in Kilbride. Bride in St. John's, and Marg in British Columbia. Stella, having looked after Jim until his death at the age of 59 in 1967, lived to be 80. She lived to see most of her grandchildren marry and enjoy the birth of 2 of her great-grandchildren. Jim and Stella's legacy lives on in the lives of their 6 children, 30 grandchildren, and 43 great-grandchildren. Mary Williams was the sixth child of the Williams family. This picture of Mary was taken shortly after she married Jim Finn in 1932. Her and Jim raised their family on the back line. And Mary's husband Jim Finn is shown here around the same time. Jim farmed most of his life, but also was involved in construction and other contract work. A quiet man, Jim provided well for his family. And here, the Finn family is pictured in 1985. In the back, we have Mike, Lucy, Bessie, Philomena, Anne, Pauline, and Jimmy. And in front are Rose, Aunt Mary, Margaret, Martha, Rita, and Teresa. Here, in about 1960, are Martha, Aunt Mary, Uncle Jim, Pauline, Rita, Lucy, and Michael. In front are Jimmy and Anne. And here, the older girls are seen cooking up in the woods sometime in the 60s. You can see Martha, Teresa, Bessie, and Margaret in the back, and in front sitting is a cousin of the Finns. And one of their favorite pastimes was playing cards. Here in the 1950s are Rita, Philomena, Cecil Chafe, Lucy, and Teresa. The boys, taking a break from their toils after Cecil Chafe, Uncle Jim's brother Pat Finn, and of course, Uncle Jim himself. Aunt Mary is seen here sometime in the 1970s. Uncle Jim died in 1970 at the age of 65. Aunt Mary lives with her daughter Teresa in the Goulds. At the time of this reunion, she was 89 years old. Patty, born in 1913, the youngest of the Williams family. After working at the mines in Buckins for a brief time, where he met his wife, Mary, Patty went to work for Cash and Oil. Mary was born in 1920 in Notre Dame Bay. Patty and Mary met in Buckins and are seen here at their wedding in 1941. Uncle Patty and Aunt Mary started their family in 1942 with their firstborn, Michael. Seen here in 1949, the family is at 7 children. The youngest in the crib is Kevin. And the family continues to grow. Here in 1951, we were up to 9, with Pat being the youngest in front at 6 months old. And it was always the first day of school after a long summer. Leonard is on the far right, heading off for his first day ever in school. And still the family grows. Here, pictured in 1964, are 16 of the family. Mike and David are not at home at the time, while Aunt Mary is in the hospital giving birth to Terry. Now, up to 17 children, Aunt Mary and Uncle Paddy are seen here with the family. Seen here in 1993 in Coburg are the 20 living children as they gather to visit their dad and mom. Here, Uncle Paddy and Aunt Mary are seen at their 50th wedding anniversary in 1991. Uncle Paddy died in 1994, aged 80. Aunt Mary lives in Coburg, Ontario, with her sons and daughters. And now let us continue our journey into time as we join the Williams, Kieleys, and Finns as they gather for the family reunion taking place in Petty Harbour, Goulds, and Kilbride.
Grandchildren of my aunts and uncles, and as you can see, there's very many of them. This is my grandmother, Stella Williams. My father drew a picture of our family homestead, which is the way where we grew up all our lives, in Kilbride. And each one of my aunts and uncles put together a family photo album. And as you can see, this is the family photo album that we put together for Walter Williams' family. So I've got all the pictures from our lives, from beginning to the way we are today. And all my aunts and uncles have done the same type of thing. They've all got their own photo album stuff. And I wrote a poem or narrated the way our lives were when we grew up.
The Kieley display, and in the center here is some of the historical information on the Kieleys. Starting with one of the oldest members of a picture that we have. This is Lawrence Kieley, who was born in 1830. And that's my parents here. This picture here is a picture of my grandfather and my father. And this photograph would be taken in 1823. Okay. Over on this side, we have the pictures of the children of John and Bessie Kieley. That's my sisters and brothers, and that's various stages of their life. All of these were taken in about 1950. Over on this side, then we have a little bit more current pictures, and these are pictures of the families of my brothers and sisters, or the children of John and Bessie Kieley. Okay, there's various pictures here. Michael and Gussie are the only two single ones, which is me. Okay, and this is little Mary, my sister, who died in 1937.
Display. There was 10 in our family. These are older pictures, some of Mom and Dad when they were touring Newfoundland. That's our brother Gus. Died in an accident when he was 36. We have some older ones over here. Dad with his favorite horse, E. Mom and Dad on the bridge, and Dad was doing a sausage experiment for the government at that time. These go from the oldest to the youngest. We have Gus and June and their family, Winnie and Bill and their family, Mark and Bob, their family, Ambrose and Mary, Betty and Doris, Kathleen's two daughters and her grandchildren. Then we have Andy and Paula and Eve.
Okay, this is Aunt Mary and
some certificates here on the table that my grandmother has gotten throughout the years when she turned 80. She's now 89 years old, and she is currently in a nursing home. Just different things she got for her birthday. Four generations of girls actually here with my grandmother.
Talk. Okay, this is the family display for Walter and Frances Williams. The center board is life on the farm and when they spend time at their cabin in Hell Hill. And some of the family as they grew up, they're in the lower half. To the side is a display of each of the 8 families, their children, going through the years, and it includes the children, their spouses, and any of the grandchildren. On the table we have 2 picture frames, the early years with Walter and Fanny and their 8 children from the 1950s, and an older frame picture of the children when they were in the 1980s and 90s.
Florence Kieley, who came down from Newfoundland to Boston, later at a tobacco store in Cambridge. This is his family. He had 8 children. A lot of them came back up to visit. Here are all the family when they're a little bit older. They started having children. They later had a big reunion 3 years ago. And this is the latest picture of the family. And we also have a newsletter going that we're going to start up again, and we're hoping to tie that in with the Newfoundland connection. So we're hoping to get a newsletter with Newfoundland and Boston connected again. Hope you contribute.
This is a picture of Mom and Dad and their 50th wedding anniversary. And then up here is our childhood growing up. Of course, a picture of Mom and Dad when they were married. And then their childhood growing up. And then, of course, this is as we grew into adults here. And this picture here, down here again, was in our younger years while we were still mostly all at home. And then, of course, this is over here is when we made lives of our own. We were all on our own at this time here.
Oh, this is the family quilt. That was each square was made by each branch of the family, and each branch was given the liberty to do whatever they represented, how they best represented their family. And it was collated by the Williamses in Coburg and made into the family reunion. The center quilt there is the seeking first the kingdom of God, is the motto of Newfoundland, and the map of Newfoundland because that's where we're from.